quick message before today's webinar. If you are involved with or know any events that require ticketing or admissions, we have a purpose-built platform just for ticket events. Like RunSignup, it's free to use and provides the same marketing and event day tools to help you put on a seamless event. For more information, visit TicketSignup.io. You can schedule a call there or just start creating your event for free today. Now on to the webinar.
All right, so the anticipated webinar. I feel like this is one of the more important webinars that we will be going through in the 101 series. We're going to talk about Adyen V2, which is our payment processor. So before we get started, I just want to cover some basic things regarding this specific webinar. There are a lot of details and specificities when it comes to your event within the payment processor. I'm going to go through as much of this stuff as possible to give you an understanding of how you work through this flow. But there are going to be some things that we might not be able to cover. If you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box. We will be in there answering as much as we can. And if we don't get to you today, then we will get back to you within the next day or two regarding your question. With that being said, the last thing I want to say is just have patience through this webinar. We're going to cover a lot of information, and we may answer your question in the webinar that you might have, specifically regarding Social Security number stuff. So before that, let's just dive in. Hold on. There we go. My name is Whitney Taylor. I am part of the onboarding team here. If you have a new race on our platform or you are new to RunSignup, you will interact with the onboarding team. It is very nice to meet you, and we will be going through this together today. So let's talk about the agenda for the day. First, we're going to discuss what Adyen V2 is. Then we'll talk about how it impacts your business, what you can do to prepare with Adyen V2, as well as how to set up your payment account. Honestly, the how to set up your payment account is the largest portion of what this webinar is today. We're going to walk through it step by step. And then last but not least, we'll cover common mistakes. This is also something that's really important that you pay attention to because we see these things often and they are easy to miss. All right, so what is Adyen V2? In the simplest term possible, it is how you get paid by RunSignup. Adyen is our payment processor. The V2 is essentially our upgraded payment processing system. What we've done is we've made it easier to navigate, we've made a faster approval process for you, and we've incorporated stronger compliance and security within the payment processing. So how this impacts you. The only thing that has really changed for you on the user side is the initial onboarding payment process. So if you've used RunSignup before, all of the reporting, all of the deposit information, how frequently you get your checks or your direct deposits, managing your bank account, managing all of the data and accessing your payment account, all of that stays the same. It's all in your race dashboard. The only thing that will change if you were to create a new event is the initial onboarding payment process. And I say if you were to create a new event and add a new payment account to it. So it's just if you have to set up a new payment account within the platform. And if you haven't used our platform before, when you go through that process, you will be asked to set up a payment account. And when you do, it will look, you will have no idea that anything did change because you've never used it before. So that is the only thing that's changed, is just that initial payment processing process. So getting into what you'll actually need to set up that payment account. You'll need your Social Security number. And before we go any further, the Social Security number, this is the number one question we get asked. Why do you need my Social Security number? I understand it can be very alarming providing that type of information into a computer system, into a platform that you are uncertain about. But I'm going to go over, I have a full slide on why we ask for your Social Security number. So before you put those questions in the chat box, just wait for me to go over that slide. Couple of other things that you might need are your EIN number, if applicable, your legal entity information, and your bank account information. All right, the big question, why do we need your social security number? By federal law, essentially, to keep it very simple, we need to know that you are who you say you are. We need to know that you are a real human going through this process and you have a real account that we're going to pay out. So that is why we need your social security number. Similar to if you were to set up a bank account, if you were to apply for a credit card, you set up Square or Stripe for your business, they ask you for your social security number. We are PCI level 1 compliant, which basically means that we have a black belt in securing your data and your payment information. And so we want to make sure that we take care of everything and that you are who you say you are. So your social security number does that. If you have additional questions regarding the social security number, or you really want to dig in to understand the complexities of it, we have a full blog write-out on RunSignup.com. You just go to the website and you can type in SSN in the search, and it will be the first post that you see. And that will explain exactly in like great detail why we need that social security number. So that covers it. You are going to see the social security number pop up a couple of times through this payment process. We definitely need it in order to approve your payment account quickly. All right, here we are. We're at the payment account setup, and we are going to walk through step by step how this goes down. So it's fairly simple, even though it does seem kind of overwhelming and like there's a lot of things going on, but it is pretty straightforward. And as long as you have all of the information you need and you understand the type of entity that you are setting your race up or your event up underneath, then you are good to go. So first we'll cover the personal information, and then it goes through the legal entity piece of it. And then you then select your payment account information, and we are on our way. So first things first, this is what the screen's going to look like when you go ahead and you click to create your new event. So you'll create your new event. You're going to go through this setup process of setting up the new event. You will be prompted to create a new payment account. This is exactly what you'll see, and so you'll know it when you get there. Another thing is you could back out of this and you could go into the race wizard in your race dashboard if you aren't ready to set up your payment account yet. And so you can access it there. It is on your race dashboard under step 6 in the race wizard. And there you'll find that you have multiple options to choose from. If you aren't ready to set up your payment account yet, you can choose a different payment account if you already have a payment account associated with that event. You can set this up later. You can also send the payment account information to an individual that is responsible for setting up the payment account information. You may not have that information, but you know somebody in the organization that does. You can just shoot them an email and they will be prompted to take care of some of that information. A couple of other things that you could do is put it in test mode, but the free mode is essentially creating a free race. And so if you do put it in free mode, just know that that is for free events only. And if that applies to you right now, just gonna give you a heads up, you don't need to be in this webinar because we are talking about how you get paid. And if it's a free event, it's not for you. So just wanted to put that out there. The last thing I'll talk about regarding the actual payment account creation of it is that you need to do this up front. The payment account process can be quick, but it can also take a couple of days. We do a manual review if everything isn't fully accurate and we need more information, and that could take up to a couple of days. If you are ready to go live and then you decide to set up your payment account information, you might be upset that you can't go live without that payment account information. So just be sure that you are on top of it, and this becomes one of your #1 priorities when you get into setting up that event. Get it at least started and taken care of so that you know that when you are ready and your race is good to go, you can go live without an issue. All right. So now that we've covered the initial just creating it, we'll get into the process. The first one is personal information. It truly is just basic information about you as a person so that we can confirm that you are who you say you are. We don't need to know your dog's name. We don't need to know your favorite color. We don't need to know your favorite restaurant. All we need to know is your first name, last name, email, that you live somewhere and that it is a valid place that you live, and of course, your social security number. Another thing that I want to say here, just mention it because we do run into this sometimes. You may be coming in and setting this up as a business. So I'm going to just use this as a general example. Let's say I have a business called the Send It Run Club. If I have that as a business and I want to come in and I'm like, I want to set it up as a business, I don't want to be a person, we still need to know that a person is sitting down in front of this computer and setting this up and creating this event. And so Whitney Taylor, as the person running this business, would be the person sitting in and putting in my information. We just need to have a first name, last name, a human, not necessarily a business. We'll get to that piece next, which is the legal entity, step 2. So within step 2, the legal entity, as you can see, these are screenshots of the exact thing that you will see when you go through this process. We have multiple options that you can choose from on the drop down of choosing your legal entity. We also have the ability for you to invite other individuals into this process to help you complete the payment process if you aren't the one in charge of all of the payment information. So when it comes to the legal entity, we have 6 different options that fall under 4 different umbrellas, I guess you would say. The first one is the individual or sole proprietor. That is essentially me, Whitney Taylor, setting up an event for myself where I am going to be the one receiving the funds. I, as a person, am receiving those funds. Then you have the business entity. If I was setting up my Send It Run Club, my business would be Send It Run Club. So that business is who is receiving the funds. I am just the person that is in charge of that business. And so that's where you would use business entity. And then we have corporation, LLC, and partnership. That's within the business entity that you can choose from. With the business piece of it, if you are going in and setting this up, you should understand and know what your business was set up as when you originally applied for your business. Then we have the 501c and the nonprofit. That is for an organization that is raising funds for a cause. The next one is the school and government entity. So the schools would be, most public schools are run by the government. So it is basically government entity is what the 4th option would be. All of these options have slightly different setup processes. It's not terribly different, but they are slightly different. So just know that going in, if you are a 501c or if you are a business entity, make sure that you have the proper documents that you need for that in order to go through this process. The next one, just to cover, is the types of people that you can invite into this process to help you complete it within its entirety. So you can invite an authorized signatory into the process. That is somebody that has been granted permission to sign contracts or finalize things or just agree to documents on behalf of the organization. There's also a control person. If there is somebody within the company, and it is not you, that has far more influence and control and power over the actual organization, you may want to invite them into the process so they can enter in this information. Essentially, if you don't have the banking account information that you need to get through this process, invite the people in that do. They will not have access to the event. They don't have to deal with the event itself. They just need to fill out the payment account information so that you can get validated and you can move forward with the process. All right, so when it comes to the legal entity setup, the second step of the process, some common questions that we get. The first one is a joint account. Usually this falls under an individual or sole proprietor. If you have a joint account, just use the first person in that joint account as the control person. Taxes, another one we get. If you are the control person for the organization, do not worry. You will not be taxed. We promise you will not be taxed. The only time that taxes will be involved is if you sign up as an individual or sole proprietor for the legal entity and you make enough money through it, then we as RunSignup will send you a 1099 to file taxes. Then when it comes to schools, something that creates confusion a lot is the school and the government piece of it. If you are a public school that is mostly run by a government, then you will sign up under the government piece of it. If you are a private school, part of the PTO, it's a booster club, or just something that is raising money for a cause, but you are not the actual public school, then you will sign up under the nonprofit. And last but not least, this one is just very straightforward. We do not accept P.O. Box. If you enter a P.O. Box, we're going to flag you. So just make sure that you put in a real street address of an address that exists, and that will do for you guys. All right, now that we've covered that, that honestly is the deeper part of it and the more nuanced piece of the payment account setup. We're now in the easy part where you just select whether and where you want to get paid. So that is step 3, the payment method. You'll go in and you will select what type of account you're setting up and what type of account we're paying. You'll put in your bank account information, routing number, etc., just the standard stuff. From there, you'll be able to select whether or not you want direct deposit or check. So I'm going to provide my feedback on direct deposit versus check. As you can see here, with check, there is a $10 fee, and that $10 fee is not just an initial one time. It's a $10 fee per check that we send to you. Not only that, it will only be issued weekly if you have a balance of over $1,000. So here's my 2 cents with it. Instead of putting your trust in the mailing system in the Wild Wild West, once we release that check, I recommend using the direct deposit. Direct deposit, all of your information is in our system. It is accurate. We have verified that. With direct deposit, you can choose how often you want to receive your payments. You have multiple options. You will have ability to see when it was released and when it hit your account. It's all there. And that to me provides a lot of clarity and safety and is very risk-free. Once the check is released from us, it is out there for who knows when you'll get it. So direct deposit, the best way to go, in my opinion. And a lot of people at RunSignup. All right, so the final piece of all of this, common mistakes that we see. I'm going over this because I want you to make sure that you go through the process and really look at all of the information that you entered. Some of the most common one of the most common ones we see is the abbreviation, putting Inc. or putting Corp instead of typing it all out, because on the bank account you have it typed out. So just making sure that those little pieces are completely set up and match identically. Legal entity and bank account don't match, and then just mismatched information in there. So just make sure you go through everything with dotting your I's, crossing your T's before you submit your payment account information. The last thing, you have to hit that blue button that says Save Payment Account. I know it might sound silly, but you got to do it. Just because you went through the process doesn't mean that you submitted something. You have to hit that button that says Save Payment Account, and then that will start the verification process. So what happens with the verification process? Now that you've hit that blue button, we will start the verification process in Adyen. Adyen's going to go ahead and verify your account. We'll do our KYC checks, which means know your customer. We need to make sure that you are who you say you are. Sometimes your account could be approved within minutes. Sometimes not so much. Your account might go into the failed accounts. If that happens, it's totally fine. Do not panic. It happens on the regular, and it's probably because information was entered incorrectly. And it doesn't mean that your account is ruined and we can't do anything. All we need is just additional documentation, just to verify that your account information is accurate against the physical account information that you upload into the system. It is not a big deal at all, and usually we troubleshoot it very quickly. So what we're going to do now, because of that, and because it is so common that it happens, we're going to go over the types of documents that you can upload and kind of just talk through that very quickly. I'm going to talk through my favorite one, and then we'll go through document by document to just say why they're good. The first one, my favorite one, avoided check. Avoided check is pretty much the most straightforward document you can upload. It's going to have all the information that we need to get you through and get you processed and verified. So if you have a blank check, which most people do have one laying around somewhere, upload the voided check. It will save you a lot of headache. The next one, a bank statement. Also a great option. The two things I want to point out with a bank statement: it must have the bank name and the bank logo. So make sure of that before you upload it. The second one, we don't want outdated information. It needs to be within the last 2 months. So check yourself, just make sure that it's a recent statement, not from 5 years ago. The next one is a verification letter. This isn't as common, but if you have one, that will do. And you can kind of see, I don't need to read through everything of what you need on it, but you'll see what we have on there. And last but not least, I have this one last for a reason, a screenshot of your online banking environment. Before you say anything, I know it seems like the simplest one. It's like, just let me log into my phone, take a snapshot, upload it. It'll be easy. We'll be good to go in 5 minutes. Not true. We need a lot of information in that snapshot. And most of the time, at least one thing is missed in that snapshot that you take, and we'll red flag it. And then we're going to have to ask for additional information. And so unless you have all of the information that we have listed out here in that screenshot, go with the voided check. But if you can clarify that you have all of this, it's great. The online banking environment works just great. And works just great doesn't works just fine. That's what I meant to say. All right, last but not least, we're going to cover some common mistakes. The best thing I can say is make sure that the document is clean, clear, and concise. That's what we're looking for. We just want a clean, clear, concise, straightforward document to validate against the data that you have uploaded into our system. Understand that you might have some things written on them, or it's hard to get just the document in the photo, or maybe you upload a blurry photo. Just check the document before you upload it, because we do need it to be very clear. We love seeing photos of you guys. We love connecting in that way. But if your face is in the document, it's not going to pass. So just keep that in mind. All right. So the key takeaways from today: we have upgraded our payment processor. It is called Adyen V2. The only change that is truly impacting you that you will physically see is that there is a new initial payment process setup. If you're brand new to RunSignup, you won't know the difference. You just learned about how you go through the payment process setup. The setup is very simple as long as you have all the information and the accurate information you need. All of the information for reporting, data, your payment account, all of that is the same within the RunSignup dashboard. So just make sure that you have the people that you need involved, you gather the information that you need, and you go through this with patience and precision, and you will have a valid, verified payment account, and you will be ready to go live on our platform. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us today. It has been great. If we did not get to your questions in the chat box, we will definitely be reaching out to you here in the next day or so. So just bear with us as we go through those. It's been great spending time with you. Have a great day.